spotlight is on silver medalist swimmer Maritza McClendon. Welcome, Maritza.
Hi,
Hey,
Maritza.
everybody.
Welcome.
I just like saying your name, Maritza. I like the way it comes off the
Maritza.
Me too.
Thank you.
Lizzie says it differently. Lizzie,
Flows.
say it the way.
I mean, I grew up
Maritza.
speaking Spanish, so I say the Spanish version, Maritza.
Maritza.
But,
Yeah.
it's both
Maritza.
ways. It's both ways. Both ways. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
All right, let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Before Simone Manuel, there was Maritza McClendon, who is a 2004 Olympic silver medalist swimmer born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. She began swimming at the age of 7 after being diagnosed with severe scoliosis. And what began as a medical remedy turned into a historic career. Let me tell you about that career. 2004 Olympic silver medalist in the 400-meter freestyle, right? First African American female swimmer to even make the U.S. Olympic team. First African American to break a world record in swimming. First African American female to break individual American records. 3-time world champion, 11-time NCAA champion, 27-time NCAA All-American, Team USA captain 2003, 2005, 2007. She's now living in Atlanta, Georgia. Maritza is a wife, a mom of 2 young children, works full-time, and travels the country sharing her inspiring story and advocating for water safety among minority communities. So Maritza, I want to
right.
thank you so much for
love
joining
that.
us today.
Black
Yeah.
girls swim.
Thank
Black
you.
girls swim.
Black girl swim.
Nice.
So I definitely could
Wow.
not fit all of your accomplishments, and there were a lot of them into our short bio. So I wanted to give you a little more time to tell us more, anything more about yourself, and and your career, and anything we can't Google about you.
All right. So, well, I think that the bio you shared was really good. That's actually the one that I have on my website. So I'm pretty sure it's correct. I think the one thing most people don't know about me until you hear me speak is that I love race cars.
Race car.
And I like, yeah. So
Wow.
think Fast and the Furious. I absolutely love to, which I actually just went to go see F9 yesterday. That was fantastic. But my first paycheck when I turned professional, I bought a 350Z and souped it up, put in gauges, had
What?
twin turbo kit installed. I had rims,
No way.
system,
Damn.
took it to the track in Brazelton, Georgia. I had a helmet and everything, and used to race it on Friday nights. So
Wow. So
Wow.
actual racing. So you follow
A
NASCAR
whole
too and
different
stuff like that?
life.
well, I like more of like the street racing side than
Okay.
NASCAR.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
I was going to say,
Nice.
Maritza, so kindred spirits kind of, because I used to work at Sports Illustrated, and I was once the NASCAR reporter, believe it or not, a young Black woman. I was the NASCAR reporter at Sports Illustrated. So I understand the need for speed. I get it. I get it.
Need
I
for
get
speed.
it.
I actually had an
All right, so
opportunity to sit in one of the NASCAR cars, and they took me around, and like I think we did like 2 laps. Man, I couldn't even move. My
Nice.
head was just like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
How did that speed feel for you? Like, were you
It was-
scared?
At first I was a little bit intimidated because you're literally inside a cage as you're going down this track. I think we got it to
Yep.
I think it only took us up to maybe 180 to 200, just liability reasons.
Only.
But
She said
it was
only.
great. I mean, I know I love the speed. I think it's fun.
I've
I would
done a
love to be
NASCAR
behind
Yeah.
the wheel and driving myself.
car before, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
different.
All right, so I'm actually going to
Wow,
turn
that's
things over to our sports guru, Miss Lizzie Enders, to kind of start things off.
So, like I said, in your introduction, you are proof positive that Black girls swim. So, give us just some background about how you got into swimming. Like, when did you first learn how to swim?
So I actually got into swimming because of a medical diagnosis. I had scoliosis when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my doctor actually recommended either gymnastics or swimming. And growing up in Puerto Rico, my mom used to take me to the beach all the time, but of course, never had any formal swim lessons. I was fearless, terrified my mom to death, and she's like, "Let's do swimming." And I didn't learn in any fancy pool. It wasn't an Olympic size whatsoever, just some guy's backyard pool. And he just said, "Okay, we're going to do basic water safety lessons." by the end of it, you're going to be able to swim from one end of the pool to the other. And for me, that's where I fell in love with it. I loved just swimming. I just love being in the water, getting to know people. But I will say I wasn't one of those athletes that walked on the pool deck and was the number one athlete by any means. I had to work hard,
I'm
train
sure.
hard, mentally just be prepared to race. And over the years, I
Yeah.
became a little bit better at it, but it was definitely a struggle.
I'm sure.
So when did you realize that you were fast in the pool?
Good question.
Interesting story. So when I was 12 years old, I went to a swim meet in Gainesville, Florida, and I just got in the water. I love to race. Like I love to just win medals and trophies. And
Mhm.
so that was like my motivation. And I swam this one race and dropped an unbelievable amount of time and ended up making my what we call a U.S. national cut. So I get to go to compete with all the top athletes in the entire country at the age of 12, which is unheard of.
Wow.
Mhm.
So I
Very
think at that
cool.
point, I looked at my mom and I said, this is great. Like I love what I'm doing. And she just continued to support me, would let me compete at those top level meets and just continued to get the
Yeah.
exposure.
Wow.
Can you tell us
Yeah.
how swimmers choose their concentration? Because anyone who's watching like the World Championships or the Olympics, they know like you. I think your event was the freestyle, right?
Correct.
And so,
Yep.
but then there's breaststroke, there's butterfly, there's back. So how do you choose? How do you choose?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Good
think as an
question.
athlete, it's the same as track. Like you have these events that you do, and there's some that you're better at, and some that you're not as good at. For me, I came from a swim program that allowed me to train and compete in various sports, various events. Sorry, and I was able to do all of them. So I'm the only swimmer ever to have won all the freestyle events at a college conference championship. So from the
Wow.
50 freestyle all the way
Nice.
up to the mile, which is a sprint all the way up to a
Right.
distance. And then I also have also been really good at butterfly and IM. So I think as an
Yeah.
athlete, you start to find those things that you absolutely love. So I love sprinting. That was my favorite thing to
Okay.
do, but I had the ability to go across the gamut in some different events.
It's
Yeah.
something that always is intriguing to me because I learned how to swim when I was probably, I think, 5 or 6. We had, swimming as a part of our classes in elementary school, but they didn't teach us the other concentrations. It was always mostly freestyle. And then
Mhm.
as I got older, maybe backstroke, but the backstroke always made me feel like, I was just in a spa or something, that I was like, I wasn't supposed to be fast. I was just supposed to be chilling. So when I see like all of
Floating.
these swimmers,
Yeah.
yeah, when I see all of these swimmers like, really going for it and speeding, sprinting while they're in the backstroke, I'm like, I could never do that because I would just be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is so beautiful. So props to you. Props to you. Let's see what Rob B has to say.
Actually, I want to touch base on something you shared with us during your intro. I want to take it a different direction from your athletic career. And I want you to speak to me about the water safety instruction that you do because I live in Northern Ontario. We're surrounded by lakes, and water safety is an integral part of our culture. So I'm very
Okay.
curious about the type of work that you are doing.
Well, let me start out by saying that the drowning statistics that plague the Black communities are higher than any other community. So 64% of African American children don't know how to swim. And when I made the Olympic team in 2004, that number was 70%. And I
Whew.
immediately heard that statistic, and I was like, it's crazy for me, a woman of color, to make the Olympic team and break barriers, yet there's so many who look like me who have no idea how to swim.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
swimming
Mhm.
is the only sport that is also a life-saving skill.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
my main message is everybody needs to learn how to swim, and the fact that my Black communities are plagued more than any other means I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of messaging, a lot of education to do, make sure that, and that's what I do. I travel the country and I spread the message of we have to get in the water. I offer free swim clinics. I get
That's awesome.
not only children,
Very
but
cool.
also adults, because you'd be amazed at how many people are like, oh, my kids know how to swim, but I don't know how to swim. And I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
we're
Yeah.
going to change that. Let's
Yeah.
It's true.
hope you got a
Yeah.
suit. Let's get in. you know?
The majority of my family members, even the kids, I mean, really have no idea how to swim. And we were at the beach
Yeah.
on vacation recently, and I mean, I can swim to save my life. Mostly because of, Lizzie and I went to a high school where they taught us how to swim. Um, but
Oh wow.
so I can swim to save my life, but past that, I'm not a great swimmer. But no one else in my family, like if one of the kids were, for example, drowning, I would probably be the one to have to go save them, and I could probably just barely
Oh,
save myself. I mean, I'm just saying,
I don't like those
if
odds,
there were a
Neil. I don't
riptide,
like
right?
those odds.
Yeah.
If there's a riptide or something, I don't know if I can pull it off.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately,
And
in Black communities, a lot of it has to do with access and discrimination, because there was a time where Black people in this country could not use public pools.
Mhm.
And then as we moved out of
Mm.
that, there still wasn't a lot of access to
Wasn't.
pools for
Yeah.
urban communities in inner cities. So, did you ever experience like the lack of access as you were trying to find a pool, as you were trying to, swim and better yourself at your craft?
And did you grow up in Puerto Rico or did you grow up here?
so I was in Puerto Rico until I was about 8.5 years old.
Okay.
So I started
Mhm.
my swim career. I swam for about a year and a half in Puerto Rico. That's where my competitive career started. But when I came to the US, it was very different. I came from a team that was very diverse. We had all different cultures in Puerto Rico. Then I came to the US, and me and my brother were one of 4 Black kids on a team of 150 kids. And
Wow.
Wow.
And it was interesting. I mean, I can tell you right now that when I was 9 or 10 years old, I went to a swim meet, and that's when I started to kind of beat a lot of the kids, right? And a lot of kids, but I'll say white kids, the parents would come up to me and be like, why are you swimming? Like, shouldn't you be on track, or shouldn't you go do basketball, or, basically a mainstream Black sport? And they were picking on
Yeah.
me because of the color of my skin, and I was beating their children.
that's,
So
that's probably
it
the
was,
reason.
Mhm.
it was definitely an issue from the beginning of my career. As soon as I stepped foot in the US and started competing there, and for me, access wasn't an issue. My parents knew that I loved swimming, so when we moved to Florida, that was one of the criteria. They're like, we need to find some place where Maritza and my brother
Oh.
Justin could swim. And so
Mhm.
thankfully we
Mhm.
found a great program, but that's not true for everybody. Like you said,
Right.
Lizzie, back in the day, Black people weren't allowed at the pool. Then when you got to go to the pool, you had to go swim in the deep end. You can't learn to swim in the deep end. Like, that's scary for a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? And then,
Yeah.
so there's that fear, and there's that generational fear. So when your parents don't know how to swim, there's only a 13% chance that your child will learn how to swim, because swimming is not part of the conversation. You don't
Yeah.
realize that you can't go to a pool party, and you're not going to be the one. You're not going to want to watch your children drown. You're going to be wanting to jump in and get them out and back to safety, because that's what parents do. But you do that,
Yeah.
and you don't know how to swim. That's not just one victim. It now becomes 2, sometimes 3.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
that's a scary realization.
Lizzie and I went to DC Public Schools system and Washington DC Public School system, and I think there are 2 pools in the entire DC Public School system. And of course, the best pool was in a predominantly white neighborhood with a very diverse school. I mean, class or students. Um, but those there was one school that does have a pool, but that's in a poor neighborhood. But that's it in all of Washington D.C. Unless I'm wrong, Lizzie.
I think you're speaking about like, current statistics, because I went to which is a school that's no longer in existence, but Fort Lincoln Intermediate School, back when I went there in second grade. So it was on Bladensburg Road, right on top of the hill where the cemetery is, Neo.
Mhm.
Um,
I know
and
that.
so they had an indoor pool and an outdoor pool.
Okay.
And so in second grade, swimming was a part of our regular
Lucky you.
Oh,
course.
wow.
Yeah.
Lucky.
So
Very cool.
we were in the pool in second grade throughout the year. And then it kind of tapered off, and they, allowed the parents to decide whether the kids wanted to pursue this further. But then when Neo and I got to high school, so we went to Woodrow Wilson High School,
Mhm.
10th grade, it was a part of physical education.
It was.
And so we were in the
Wow.
pool at 8:45, at least our class. I'm not, because you
Your
were in
class,
international studies, Neo.
I was.
Yeah, I don't think you were in the pool as early as us, but we were in the pool at 8:45 a.m.,
Mhm.
which pissed me off. Like, I have hair. I had a boy that I was trying to impress. I did not want to be looking crazy for the entire day. So that's a good
Yeah.
segue into the hair portion of the argument, Marisa, because I want to ask you about the soul cap.
Mhm.
Exactly, right?
Oh, the
The
soul
soul
cap.
cap.
Yeah.
The soul
It's
cap.
a good
So
question.
for those of you who are not in the know, the soul cap was invented for women of color who have a different texture of hair, dreadlocks, braids, curly natural hair that doesn't necessarily fit in the regular cap that was made for white women whose hair kind of goes down. A lot of hair, but it goes down. Our hair goes up and out. And so
Mhm.
a specific cap was made for women of color who have our hair texture, but that cap was banned right before the Olympics began. So, what was your take on that? Like, one, did you ever use a soul cap, or growing up as a swimmer, what was your experience with swim caps?
So I'll kind of tail this a little bit with a story. So when I was swimming, there was a lot of barriers for why Black people weren't swimming. Access, financial, swim caps, swimsuits, you name it. There was something. We're built differently.
Hmm.
And one thing for me is that we are now in an era where we have had companies and organizations that are now saying, okay, there's all these barriers. Let's start to come up with solutions. And that's what SoulCap did.
Hmm.
SoulCap came up with a solution, say, okay, we know that the caps that you wear, which I think you flashed a picture earlier, it is tight. Like you guys see, I have a lot of hair. That thing will be like this, and it's still sticking out here. And
Yeah.
I had to like do this twisty thing and shove my hair in the cap. So for me, it was definitely for that, that trials particularly, I cut my hair.
Oh,
I
wow.
sat there and I chopped it shorter because it was just another distraction. And so my biggest beef about the soul cap decision was more so about the words that were used as to why the cap was banned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
said it did not fit the shape of a normal head,
Mm-hmm.
which
What's normal?
I don't know what that means because I'm pretty sure everybody's head is shaped differently.
My
Black,
wife was
white,
pissed about
brown,
it too.
don't matter. And then on top of that, they continued on to say, none of our athletes have a need for a cap like that. And to me, that
Oh,
sends a
wow.
terrible message, especially to people of color, that you don't belong
Our
at the Olympic
athletes.
level.
Our athletes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's a problem. You can't, if you're an organization that is meant to technically look at products and say, this is providing an advantage, it should not be part of the Olympics, that didn't do that. But don't come and subjectively say, our athletes don't have a need for this. You
Right.
you have no idea, right? And that's crazy because there's definitely somebody out there who has bigger hair than me, has
Mm-hmm.
dreads, that has a vision of
Mm-hmm.
becoming an Olympic swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
And a soul cap is a solution that provides them an opportunity to not have to think about how am I going to get all this in a swim cap so that I can go to the Olympics. It's
What's the
just, I'm
difference?
going to put it in a
What's
swim
the
cap
difference
and
between a
go.
soul cap and a regular cap?
So soul cap has a little bit more space to it.
Stretch.
So a regular cap is very tight. It's like a dome shape. The soul cap provides a little bit more room and stretch for bigger hair, bigger dreads, all that sort of stuff to fit inside of the cap a little bit easier. Don't get me wrong, it's still gonna be
Yeah.
hard, but it's definitely it's an option, right? You think about they did the same thing with goggles. There's different shaped faces, eye sockets. They created different
Hmm.
types of goggles for different eye sockets, and those were approved, right? So, yep. So there's a soul cap, and you guys can see it has a little bit more room. And a lot of people
Have
will
you
say,
tried it?
"Well, I personally have not.
Okay.
I'm retired. I have no intention of heading back into the pool to compete." But I will say I would have definitely tried. There's different sizes, so I definitely would have
Yeah, sure.
tried it just to
Sure.
see,
Okay.
if it fits. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I've never been on any type of Olympic path for any sport. However, when I was swimming as a young kid, I stopped wearing caps because I just thought it wasn't doing anything for me. Sometimes they would come off, they didn't fit properly, or my hair was still soaking wet when I got out of the, like, it just never provided any advantage to me. So I often didn't swim with a cap on and just, would do a tight bun, or my mom would do like a braid in the back. But yeah, a regular cap just never benefited me at all. And I'm talking
Yeah.
as someone who was just swimming as a regular Josephina. Like I was not at your level, your caliber at all. So I can only imagine the advantage this would have afforded, or the amount of, not even
Yeah.
advantage, the amount of normalcy this would have afforded, women
Yeah.
of color, people of color who have a different hair texture,
Yeah.
you know?
Before we get to
And I
Gianni,
put it in I
okay.
put it in this perspective. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Mertz.
No, go
I was
right
going to put
ahead.
it in
Go
this
right ahead.
perspective. It's kind of like saying, as an athlete, you want to be able to focus on competing and racing at your optimum. You shouldn't have to be
Mhm.
focusing on what swim cap am I wearing, what swimsuit am I wearing, what goggles am I wearing.
Yeah.
That stuff should you should have whatever you need to feel comfortable so that you can focus on racing and getting Olympic
And it would be
medals.
different if it provided some type of advantage, which it really does. It probably provides a mild disadvantage because you're still not as what's it?
Hydrodynamic.
Hydrodynamic.
Thank
Pointy
you.
with
That's
your
the
head.
word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Hydrodynamic.
Right,
Before we
right.
get to Gianni, there's some comments online. So Mike Winter says, if your parents weren't allowed in public pools, them kids didn't learn how to swim. Parents are scared to watch their kids in the pool because they cannot save them.
Mhm.
A couple of people said it was 8 o'clock, not 8:45, Lizzie. And
I said
Jeanette,
7:45. I thought I said 7:45.
you said 8:45, but it's
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
I meant 7:45. I meant 7:45.
Yeah, Jeanette
We were
Brown
in
said,
the locker room at 7:45.
yeah.
Lizzie,
In
I
the
was
pool at 8.
swimming in the pool at 5 a.m.
5
growing up.
a.m.
See,
in high
I could
school.
not. I could not. I could not. I could not. Mm-mm.
All
Props
right,
to you for that dedication. Props to you.
Gianni, go ahead.
I read in an interview that your inspiration was Amy Van Dyken, and I just wanted to know
Ooh.
why she was your inspiration.
So when I was growing up and watching swimming on TV, of course, it only happened 4 times every 4 years. And the very first time I watched on TV was the 96 Olympic Games. And I had the opportunity to watch Amy Van Dyken win 4 Olympic gold medals. And she just sparked my love for, or my desire and my dream to be an Olympian. I was like, man, that's exactly what I want to do. Now, if you don't know Amy Van Dyken, she is 6'1", white woman, very tall, very lean. Like she was just a powerhouse, 96. There she is. Yep. And
Yeah.
I just loved her fierceness in the water. And again, like I said, she just sparked my Olympic dream. And because of her, I started to train harder. I had the opportunity to swim with her. I made the national team at 12 and 13 years old. So I had an opportunity to swim with her. And then every time I saw her, I'd be like, can I get your autograph? And she would gracefully be like, of course, and would sign autographs every single time. And then sure enough, fast forward a little bit further down my career, in 2002, I actually broke her American record in the 50 freestyle. That was unbroken for
Nice.
8 years. So,
Wow.
Wow.
and
She
she
did a
called my
lot of
swim coach to say
commentary.
thank you.
She
Really?
did a lot of commentary for this Olympics. So I actually, I won't say I forgot about her, but you don't necessarily hear her name in casual conversation. So it was good to see her and hear her for this Olympics. Did you watch a lot of the swimming in Tokyo?
I did. I was glued.
Figured.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
not,
I was trying to
right?
get my kids involved, but they were just like, "No, okay, this is good. It's been like a minute. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna run out somewhere else." They're gone.
So to that point,
Over it.
last week we had former Olympic track star Yvonne Wade on the show, and we were talking about Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka and athletes prioritizing their mental health. Now, Simone Manuel, who I learned is you were a mentor for, she recently tweeted that the media should stop interviewing athletes after disappointing performances, after she didn't meet expectations at this Olympics. So some people are saying athletes are getting too sensitive to criticism. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's tough. I think and I think I watched Yvonne. Yeah, I watched the episode too with Yvonne, and she said it well. Back when we were competing, you couldn't find us on social media. We couldn't read comments about what people were saying, but we still had the media in our face, right? But now these athletes today are dealing with so much more pressure than we ever were, over a decade ago, where you're on social media, there's videos on there, people making comments. It's like people are behind a computer screen, have no filter whatsoever, and have no problem saying how they feel about a certain athlete. And that's hard. That's hard for someone
Yeah.
to read, and it's not easy to ignore.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
how did you feel when you saw that I keep wanting to say Emmanuel. I don't know why. When Simone Manuel won her gold medal in the last Olympics.
That was amazing. I remember watching Simone, even
Uh-huh.
before Rio, just being like, wow, she's going to be a phenom. I could tell how much of a powerhouse she is. I had an opportunity to talk to her a couple of times before her races, and she just had this mentality that was just something that I admired. And when she got the
Yeah.
Olympic gold medal in 2016, the first thing that came out of her mouth was, of course, glory to God. But then after that, it was thank you to Maritza McClendon, who came before me. And my jaw
Oh,
dropped. I was like, she just said my
wow.
name. I could not
Wow.
believe it.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what I love about her is she gives
Beautiful.
recognition to those who came before her. And we're a
Yeah.
team now. I may not be competing, but we're both sharing the same message of trying to get more Black people involved with swimming, and not just water
Yeah.
safety, but also just get us to the elite level and get some more Black people on that Olympic swim team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. So I want to give you a few minutes to say any final words, anything you want to say, give shout outs, and also make sure you let people know where we can find you.
So big shout out first off to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I don't know if you
Right.
know, but I am a spokeswoman for a program called Swim 1922, where we are trying to make sure that our Black communities know how to swim, especially tapping into the women of the family and making sure that they know water safety education. So shout out to them.
Nice.
I had no idea the impact that my medal had until I met them in 2012. I got my medal in 2004. So in 2012,
Wow.
they had me realize, because I broke barriers in a predominantly white sport, and everybody around me was like, "Hey, good job."
Yeah.
And then I get around them and they're like, "Oh my gosh, do you know what you've done?" And made me feel really good. So major shout out to Sigma
Yeah.
Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I love those ladies, my sisters, and we're continuing to spread the message about the importance of water safety. To find me on social media, I'm on Instagram at Ritzy Swims, Twitter at Ritzy Swims04, and of course on Facebook.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Amazing.
Marissa, for joining our
Thank
you
podcast. We
so much
appreciate
for
you.
joining us.
Yeah, we'd love to have you
Thank
back
you
in
so
the
much.
future. So you're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for
Of
joining
course, of
Thank you,
course.
Maritza.
Thank you so much.
us. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yes.
Black girls swim, y'all. Black girls
Yes.
swim.
I tell you,
Black girls
Incredible.
swim.
Excellent.
she's a fantastic
Excellent.
guest. I mean, wow, her career. When you see her career and what she's done, I mean, I was surprised. I personally hadn't heard of her prior to it, but when I looked at it, I was like,
I know, right?
I thought I recalled the history of it for some reason, but I don't. I just hadn't heard of her. I don't know why, and it's a shame that we had it, and I'm glad we're able to kind of bring
Yeah.
it out. I'm glad.
And I
Yeah,
think
that's
also
true.
too, a lot of people outside of the Black community here in America don't realize the difficulties that have come over the years with just trying to swim. Like it used to be against the law for Black people to get in a public pool in this country.
Yeah.
You'll often hear
Yep.
about Black celebrities who would show up at venues, show up at hotels to perform, and the hotel would have a pool. Dorothy Dandridge being one of them, Lena Horne being another. They go out to the pool to take a dip in the pool to swim. And not only are they removed from the pool, but then the facilities, they empty the pool because they felt like the pools were
It's dirty.
tainted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for Black people in this country. But Maritza is proof positive. Simone is proof positive that Black people can and want to swim. So I loved
Yeah.
having her here.
Yeah, she
Loved
was
having her here.
That
Me
was,
too.
that was
Amazing.
awesome.
Wonderful guest.
It was.
All right. So